18 years ago, I began spending a lot of time thinking about poverty. Of course, I knew poverty had existed forever. In fact, I grew up in a family with a single mother who was a widow, and she worked very hard and struggled to make ends meet. So I was exposed to poverty on several different levels. But I never really tried to understand the causes and, more important, the possible solutions. And then I began to see poverty in a different, more hopeful light. I worked on a program in the United States that funded community-based programs focused on breaking the cycle of poverty. It was so uplifting to learn of the programs that individuals within the communities would come together and plan and execute, and in order to share creative solutions to the shared economic problems they faced. Soon my interest took me into the global arena. And I began addressing the root causes of poverty and gender inequality and the link between the two. And it's just that I'm here to talk to you about today. The pivotal role of women that could and should play in improving the world economy. It might surprise you to know that poverty is both a cause and a consequence of gender inequality, and that women are the solution. And here's why. Women constitute the largest pool of untapped resources in the world. For one reason or another, many women have been prohibited from participating in many economies. But given opportunity, investment, and encouragement, women, especially women entrepreneurs, can help grow the GDPs of their country, alleviating poverty, and much, much more. Let's talk about the current state of the world from a feminine perspective. The world population today is around 7 billion. Roughly half are male and half are female. Out of the 3.5 billion that are female, 865 million do not currently participate in any economy, but could, given the opportunities as producers, employers, or employees. And 812 million of them live in developing countries, which is also where the greatest number of poor people live. What if women entrepreneurs in the developing world were able to follow the same path and achieve the same results as women entrepreneurs have done in the United States? In the US, there are 8.6 million women-owned businesses. Not only do they create millions of jobs, but they also earn $1.3 trillion annually. Just imagine if $1.3 trillion were added to the economies of the developing world. Individual countries would grow exponentially, and their citizens would thrive. But just how do we unleash that kind of economic power? How do women in developing countries find the opportunities and the encouragement? Well, for many years, I've helped create an organization focused on doing just that. I'd like to now talk to you a little bit about Vital Voices, because this organization has been pioneering a solution to poverty and gender inequality. As background, the seeds for Vital Voices were planted in 1995 when delegations from 189 countries met in Beijing, China, for the United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women. Then First Lady Hillary Clinton led the U.S. delegation. The idea was to assess the global progress of women. It really wasn't very good. Upon returning home, a new U.S. initiative was launched, led by the White House and State Department. It urged emerging women leaders in developing countries to challenge the status quo of women and to support and strengthen their leadership, participation in politics, civil society, and the economy. A couple of years later, as the Clinton administration was coming to a close, and with it there was a growing concern that the momentum of women were beginning to experience would end soon. So in 1999, I worked with two other women who were not in government like myself. I was not in government. And we started Vital Voices Global Partnership with a focus on advancing women's leadership. We took a government program and made it into a nonprofit, or NGO as they like to call it outside of the US. Today, we work in 144 countries throughout the world. We do this by identifying, training, and investing in emerging women leaders, enabling them to create a better world for us all. We work in 3 different areas: economic empowerment, political participation, and human rights. Economic empowerment, it was through my experience with Vital Voices and my own business background that I became convinced that the economic empowerment of women was the most important of these 3 areas. In the US, women entrepreneurs have been a huge force in growing our economy. I believe it was a model worth replicating in the developing world. Mentoring is a very important part of the Vital Voices strategy to advance women. In addition to knowledge, here's what women say they want, need, and receive from good mentors. They receive confidence in themselves, support, networking and contacts, leadership skills, recognition. They learn from their failures, and they form a relationship with a person they can totally trust. Now, I'd like to introduce you to just 3 of the women I've mentored over the years, as they have made a lasting impression on me. First, Irina. Irina is a born entrepreneur. We met 17 years ago. She's from Latvia. And that, by the way, was when Vital Voices really began, was when the former Soviet Union broke apart. And the women really needed help, and mentoring and other help. And so she was from Latvia, and we met about that time. She had an idea for a business, which was to rent out formal attire to women for special occasions. I was asked to mentor her, and since my background is marketing, that was our starting point. She grew the business then moved into other areas. She took her artistic talent to market and became a well-known artist. She started designing hats, and that led her to create her own designer brand. She wrote a book, and I'm proud to say she dedicated it to me. I have no idea what it says because it's in Latvian and Russian, but still. Most important, she learned a lot about business and decided that mentoring other women was something she wanted to pursue. She started her own professional organization and joined the World Association of Women Entrepreneurs. She has plans to open a school for girls and dreams about starting a foundation for girls' education, and I don't doubt that she will do all this and more. I want to read for you a note I received from her the other day. I had asked her to let me know what was going on in her life right now. And she said, "My life is good, my organization is big. I've united 45 women's clubs from all over Latvia, and my organization is popular. Last year, I gave a master class about mentoring programs in Kazakhstan and an economic forum in St. Petersburg at an international women's conference." She added that she was now going to Tajikistan to start a school for business women. Don't you wonder how she has a life in there? She added that she said, "Your mentoring work continues now through me," which is exactly what we wanted to see happening. This also demonstrates perfectly the multiplier or ripple effect of mentoring. When women are mentored, they're more apt to pay it forward and mentor other women. I met Sandra 7 years ago. She's from Africa, Zambia. Like Irina, she's an entrepreneur to the core. Sandra has dreams, but doesn't just dream them. She does them. She acts. While many others push their dreams aside because they lack the resources and confidence, Sandra always finds creative solutions to make her dreams come true. She started making beaded jewelry as a hobby and was very good at it. She tried to turn it into a business to fulfill another dream of hers, which was to help poor people in her country. Zambia has a large population of single moms, and many have AIDS, as do their children. They are obviously unemployed, or they could have a job, perhaps, for $1 a day crushing stone, which doesn't seem like a real good job to me. Demand for Sandra's products grew, and she was very good at sales. But it meant she needed workers to make the products to meet demand, but she lacked the money to hire workers. At the Vital Voices Summit in South Africa, she learned alternative approaches. She could, instead of hiring the workers, she could partner with them and form a co-op. She did, and she called it Magic Hands of Africa. Sandra trained the women in beadwork, bought and supplied them with the materials, then bought the finished products back and sold them to customers. It worked. I was able to get Sandra into our Entrepreneurs in Handcrafts program, which started in Africa. We taught women like Sandra about business management and provided leadership training. She worked hard and advanced her own education. Sandra has by far faced the greatest challenges. If you were to walk in her shoes, you would discover that what she is trying to accomplish is mammoth and not for the faint of heart. And yet, she pushes forward. Finally, meet Misu. We met 3 years ago when I visited Burma, now Myanmar, and stayed at her family's hotel resort on Inle Lake, which she now manages. I was so impressed with her knowledge, her management capability, her vision for the future, and her ability to articulate her plans. I could tell right away that she was a leader and could have a bright future. We pledged to stay connected, and we have. I came home and strongly recommended her for our Fortune's Most Powerful Women's mentoring program. She was accepted into the 2012 class, which brought her to the US for the first time. She spent a month in the US and was mentored by the CEOs, the women CEOs of both Xerox Corporation and Young and Rubicon Ad Agency. She made a huge impression on everyone, and Goldman Sachs went on to choose her for their 2013 Cash Award for their 10,000 Women program. Misu and I discussed the need for a vocational training school for the hospitality industry. Peace had recently come to Burma, and it was clear that this beautiful country was primed to open up for tourism. But it was stuck in a time warp and lacking infrastructure. A school could train young people for many jobs that would be created to serve the influx of tourists. She wanted to do that. She wasted no time finding a suitable property and moved quickly to get the school off the ground. She really didn't just dream it, she did it. The course is 10 months long, and she takes 40 students per session. I don't doubt one little bit that these three amazing women, Sandra, Irina, and Misu, will succeed. They already have. And I know they will achieve even greater success. And along with them, they will take all the others whose lives they're now touching as mentors. And they too will succeed, and so goes the ripple. A recent UN report headline reads, there's Misu's staff. Gender inequality is costing the global economy trillions of dollars. Discrimination against women is universal. It is shocking. It is a shocking thought that in 2014 there is no country in the world where women have equal economic or political power to men. Of course, women do also need to have a greater impact in politics and human rights, which are the other two legs of the three-legged stool that Vital Voices rests on. But as I said earlier, I am convinced that if women succeed economically, the other two needs will take care of themselves. You know, of course, the golden rule, which says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's been around since biblical times. Well, I believe in another golden rule of life as well. It applies perfectly to women succeeding in business and serves as a reminder that the people who make the gold also make the rules. To paraphrase, if women succeed and earn lots of money, they will make sure women do get elected in greater numbers and will work hard to enact laws that protect women and children, making sure they're not deprived of basic human rights. Another fact, when women are economically empowered, they raise healthier, better educated families, and their countries are more prosperous. There is less war and violence. And finally, regarding mentoring, hold on to this thought, please. Mentoring, oops, there's the other golden one. Mentoring is a gift of your time and knowledge. And I can attest to what's been in it for me. Research has shown that generosity is a huge happiness booster. Not only am I happier, it's provided me with another act in my life and a fitting culmination to my business career. I urge each of you, now or in the future, to consider this path for yourself. Thank you very much.